Hello and welcome to the PACE Global Advantage Market Report. We're joined again today by Bob Tebbutt from Peregrine Financial Group Canada. Bob, the housing market, especially in the U.S., has been in a terrible state for the last 2 years. Do lumber prices reflect this, and what is your opinion on the future for lumber?
Well, as a matter of fact, I've written a report on this, and the report is available to anybody that wants to ask for it. Essentially, I'm looking at it this way. Yes, the lumber industry is in poor shape because demand for new housing is very poor, and there's a huge amount of lumber used in new housing, of course. But the difference is that now we have mill production way down very low, to the point where demand is meeting supply at a very, very low level. And what's happening now is with a slight increase in demand, and it's very slight, against the limited supply of lumber, we're starting to get the lumber market moving very strongly. Indeed, I'm recommending that people buy calls in lumber for January at this particular time. And as I say, I have this report done that I'm going to make available to anybody that wishes it.
The Chinese just announced that they are investigating possible manipulation of rubber futures prices. There's a chance that the investigation may extend to include copper, aluminum, zinc, and soybeans. Do you have any comments?
It's kind of interesting because on Friday, the Chinese denied that they were making an investigation, but it's really hard to determine who's speaking what truth in China. They tend to cover things up. It appears, though, that there is an investigation going on about over-manipulation of rubber futures. That is extended into copper, aluminum, zinc, and actually soybeans. So there is some confusion as to whether it's going on or not, but it was enough to drive the market sharply lower. In zinc, certainly it was down about 8% in the day on Thursday when this report came out, and copper came down as well. The markets are still down. As of the close on Friday, they've stayed very quiet, waiting for more clarification of what is really going on. It could be serious. It might be nothing. At this particular point, the markets are under a little pressure to sell and are down because of it.
The gold and silver markets continue to soar, with gold near its record high and silver at its highest price since early 2008. I know you're bullish, but what is your stance now?
Well, I have to still be concerned because these markets have virtually gone straight up, Andrea, and at some point they have to have sort of some correction. That's just a natural way of markets. They get overbought or they get oversold. The market, though, seems to be ignoring any overbought situation and continues to move up. I note on Friday they were down a little bit in gold, but silver's still very strong. It is my favorite, as you know. I've been buying silver for a long time, and I continue to maintain that stance because not only does it benefit from the strength in gold, which is a fear kind of reason why you would buy gold, and it applies to silver as well, but in addition, the increased manufacturing activity in the rest of the world demands silver for that. Indeed, China in particular has now become the third largest importer of silver as their manufacturing process picks up, and also because of investment. The investors in China are precluded from getting into the real estate market because of controls, and actually they're aiming on silver. So that's part of the reason why silver is so strong.
We talked a little bit about hurricanes last week. Now, hurricanes have failed to disrupt the natural gas and crude oil operations in the U.S. Gulf, and yet the national weather forecasts have predicted a very stormy season. Is there still a possibility of hurricanes, and what will it do to the price of crude and natural gas?
Well, first of all, hurricane season really goes to the end of October. Katrina in 2005 occurred on the 31st of September, and there's still lots of time for a hurricane to develop. Indeed, there's one in the mid-Atlantic called Igor that was downgraded for a while, but it has the Atlantic to cross, and when they cross an open water, they pick up steam and could aim into the U.S. Gulf. There's another one just north of Venezuela that's kind of stationary right now. It could pick up and go in. So there will be a hurricane or two or six, as the weather people say, and they could come into the U.S. Gulf. But that's what must happen. The hurricane must build up in intensity, come into the U.S. Gulf, and then cause disruption in that area. When it happens, there will be an immediate spike in those prices, particularly of natural gas, which in my opinion is oversold, and I'm long the market waiting for a hurricane.
Now let's change things up a bit, Bob. Where do you see the Canadian dollar going over the weeks ahead?
Well, the situation in all currencies is that the central banks of various nations have a lot to do with the level of a currency. Clearly, the Bank of Canada doesn't want the Canadian dollar to get stronger. Yes, they've raised interest rates 3 times. We're now at 1%, but that's more of a protection in the internal Canadian situation. But central banks want to control the currency to help their export-import situation. I don't think the Bank of Canada wants the dollar back over $1, and it would like to have it lower. And so what you're going to see is the pressure that the Bank of Canada can put on the currency will probably continue to drive it down. Right now, the market is stable. Some pretty good unemployment numbers on Friday, which boosted it a little bit, but I note when the market was closed, it was down a little bit.
So, Bob, this market report that you send out by email, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I will make this offer. I will give them my daily market letter, okay, for the next 4 weeks. If they contact me, we'll see whether they like that report. If they don't, they can contact me and say not to send it anymore. They may like it a lot, and they can keep getting it if they contact me and ask for a continuation. It normally is $1,000 a year. For a month, I'll give it to them. We'll see what happens.
All right, Bob. Now, I ask you every week, and I'm sure you're expecting it. What are you bullish on this week?
As I've said, I like the lumber market very much. I think you should buy a call in January. I still like copper. I'd like to add to it if it sets back anything. Gold and silver in particular, I like. And I'm starting to get interested in crude oil in a long position. It's been stable for really 7 or 8 months, but I think there might be something developing there, and I'm watching it very closely. It could be a good buy.
All right, Bob, thanks so much for joining us again this week. For everyone else, be sure to check paceglobaladvantage.com for more business news. We'll see you next time.